I'd like to call this informational briefing to order. Today is Thursday, August 15th, 2024, 9 a.m. Today is my mom's birthday.
Congratulations.
And let's see, it's conference room 309 at the State Capitol, and we are doing this meeting live and also inviting people to join us via Zoom. So thank you, staff, for setting that up. Today's briefing is to go over the DHHL's status on the Act 279. It was an allocation of $600 million to help DHHL provide land and future housing for Native Hawaiians. And we are very thankful that DHHL staff is here to brief us on their accomplishments to date. And we want to just introduce our members. If you could just go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Aloha, Mahina Poi Poi, District 13.
Good morning, Luke Eslin, District 16.
Aloha, Daniel Ho, Chinatown, Kalihi.
And we have also Lisa Martin, who's now joining us from Waimanalo.
Aloha, I'm David Tarnas, and I represent District 8, Kohala, Hawai'i Island.
Thank you, David. Glad you could join us. And so we are just really have this one item on the agenda, and so I'm going to hand it over to Director of DHHL, Kali Watson.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Myself, including Kalani Franda, are here to explain basically all the different projects we've identified in the use of the $600 million. I also have additional staff that's also available to get into the details if desired regarding the future cost estimates and the justification, as well as how we arrived at these figures. Basically, we've gone through a pretty rigorous process in identifying not only our lands that are most suitable for development, but also based on the flexibility allowed by Act 279, we've looked at and acquired new lands, excellent lands on the different islands, which is kind of, I guess, reverse the situation regarding our land inventory to a major extent, in that we have acquired very desirable lands in good locations that will cost a lot less to develop the infrastructure. So we're excited about what's happening with the program, but we also, let me just a little bit of a caveat is that we're not through. I mean, it's an ongoing process that is evolving. So we're looking at additional lands. We're looking at, actually, this coming month, we're going to create another PIG, Permitted Interaction Group, with the Commission to go over not only our existing budget, but some other lands that we're looking at. And so, like I'm saying, it is a evolving process, and even the numbers that you're looking at that we've laid out in the matrix may also involve being reduced, especially if we're successful in our full court press and going after additional funds at the federal level, including at the county. The county has been very kind of unique in the sense that they're starting to step up and provide funding, CIP funding. And I'd have to point out Maui County, including the city and county of Honolulu. So it's an exciting time. They also are looking to maybe provide us with lands, like the Kalaheo situation on the windward side of the island. So, like I'm saying, overall, it's an exciting time for the program. So let me just briefly go through the slides that we prepared for you. And if you have any questions as I'm going through, please don't hesitate to let me know. Okay, so we'll go by island. The first island is the Big Island. And we have several projects, Palama Nui, that's kind of interesting. I'll go into a little bit more details as we go through it. But as you can see on the location identified on the Big Island, These are the major projects that we're looking at: Palamanui, villages of Laiopua and Kona, Honoka'a, as well as Kaumana. This is a kind of a matrix that kind of breaks down by projects how much we've not only encumbered, also as applied to the lapse fix that you folks allowed us additional time in which to encumber the funds, not necessarily expend them, but encumber them. And then also identifies the specific lot numbers for each project. And then regarding future estimates relative to, in addition to the $600 million, what we're going to need to move the projects forward. And then on the far right column, there's little notes that you can take a look at, and gives you a little bit more insight on the different projects. As you can see, for the Big Island, we're asking for future cost estimates of about $206 million, but we've encumbered quite a bit of it through the initial encumbrance as well as based on the lapse fix. Sure.
What does lapse fix mean exactly?
That's where we didn't encumber it in the first year. So you gave us an extension, so the lapse fix will,
That just means encumbered.
yeah, the balance of the
now.
600 million
Okay.
that wasn't encumbered.
So this past session,
No, I know
Yeah.
our law. I didn't know.
No.
Has that been spent already or not?
No, nothing is, some of it is spent, but more the Act 279 requires us to encumber it. It's going to take a while, you know, as a lot of these
So
projects
that's
are.
planned but not yet encumbered.
Well, no, most of them are encumbered. The first, the yellow and orange are encumbered.
Right, the lapse fix.
And then we have the lapse fix.
So that is or is not encumbered yet?
Those are not encumbered
Okay,
yet.
thank you.
You're correct. But the plan is to encumber it during that lapse fix period. And then the last two columns are more the lot numbers as well as estimated additional funds that are needed that we're going after at the federal and state as well as county level, actually. The first one is Kaumana. It's just, site acquisition adjacent to our existing lands. And so that one is hopefully, once we move that one along, we're looking at about 168.
question on that one. Is the infrastructure in place, or is that going to be an additional cost?
That will probably be an additional cost. The $2 million was just to acquire the
Right,
property.
so in the future cost estimate, should there be a number plugged in?
Yeah, we will, as we, gather more information on that, we'll get more details as to the actual. But on that one, we've put it kind of on the back burner in the sense that we acquired it because it's in a fairly good location, but there's issues regarding the site. So we got to do our due diligence and investigate some of the things that have been popping up on that one. So we've identified other sites that are more conducive to immediate development. One of the things we're trying to do is, as we've gone through this analysis, continuing analysis, as we gather more information, we will maybe adjust which projects have priority. And so that is reflected on where you see some, we got additional funds for future, and we're using our 600 more immediately for those that are more timely and we can develop quicker.
So it might be useful in future matrix that you put together to put them in order of priority, so that those that are going to need the upfront future uncommitted funds, we're clear
Yeah,
that that's
sure.
a priority for you. And you can't be doing them all, but at least you've identified them and you know that these are the low-hanging fruit projects to move forward.
Yeah, one of the things we're doing is, and it's really important that our beneficiaries, especially those on the wait list, are informed of the progress of these projects. Not only on our website, we've identified the specific projects and lot numbers, the location, but we've also have we keep them informed as to the, schedule regarding development. And in some cases, with links to the developer's website, they can actually visualize and see the construction progress. So it's kind of a dual process where we keep our beneficiaries informed, but we also require the developers to also become very, very active in the details, such as the models, the pricing, the progress regarding the construction. So the next one we have is the Laiopua. That particular project, we're looking at doing 635 homestead lots. It is an existing development that has been very active. So we do have a variety of homestead leases there. That's one of the projects where we've used LIHTC, or low-income housing tax credit, with option to purchase approach successfully. With the change in the law, we're also looking at converting those that are basically renters now, that have existing leases, existing houses, where we can separate and actually give them a homestead lease based on the recent law you folks passed, where we can separate the land to issue a homestead lease versus the financing for the vertical construction. All the terms and conditions under the financing remain in place. But more importantly, by issuing them a lease, a homestead lease, we obviate or eliminate the unfortunate situation where if they die prior to the 15-year compliance period expiring, they get nothing, the heirs. So we've got to change that. So we've changed that by you folks changing the law to allow us to separate the homestead land portion from the vertical construction financing. So anyway, on this one, Village 4 is, the infrastructure is pretty much done. So we've pretty much picked a developer, Non-Inc., that did the original infrastructure. We're using them to not only do the vertical construction, but oversee the other villages identified. There's Village 1 that is more long-term, that needs to be examined, and also we're looking to try and get additional funding for that. So that one is collectively, we're looking at 635 leases. And let me just add also on the change under the program. One of the things that has been, in the Kalima case, is the best example, whereby our department and the program has been very deficient and very untimely in the awarding of leases. So we are going to accelerate that, whether the vertical construction is finished or not. We're going to, in this case, like all the villages, make awards, 635 homestead awards. And by doing it that way, should the homesteader with the, in certain cases, undivided lease award, where there's not a specific lot other than the project is identified as what they've received the homestead lease for, should they die, the homesteader with this existing lease, and we're going to require that they also name a successor, the successor will step into their place rather than looking at a place on the waiting list, where in the case of the waiting list, if you're not half Hawaiian in some cases, you can't step, or you have to be half Hawaiian in order to step into the place of the person on the wait list. By giving them a homestead lease, we can expand that heirs or successors to the quarter Hawaiian, typically their kids. So that's one of the other things, immediate and more quickly awards, but also a change in the way we finance, especially the LIHTC. And let me just say, the LIHTC with option to purchase is for those homesteaders that would otherwise not be able to get home ownership, because they're low income, they can't qualify for a mortgage. So by doing it, using this approach, and you guys have heard this before from me, so I'm kind of repeating myself, but the whole idea there is to make it where we don't pass anybody on the wait list. So the poor guys, they got a chance. The guys that want to do sweat equity, we're doing a significant number of Habitat for Humanity, as well as those that have the skill set and connections that want to build their own house with certain standards imposed and deadlines. They can build their own house. So we're being very aggressive in trying to not bypass anybody on the wait list. So we're excited about that. So anyway, Laiopua is one. We've got
Just a clarification, on Village 5 is 635 units
Which one is that?
in Laiopua.
Well, there's the
The
200,
lots
Village
that are
1 is 200, Village 2 is 200, there's 125 in Village 4.
Yeah, so
So
the
there's a
funding,
525.
the lapse funding will be for Village 5, is that correct?
Yes.
And in Village 5, there's 635 lots. Just want
Well-
to make sure I'm reading this correctly.
Yeah, some of them are already finished, so that's the remaining lots that are unfinished. That one, we did some Habitat for Humanity.
I just wanted to clarify the
Yeah,
number.
the number is 117
Oh, for Village 5,
for Village 5.
170. The 635 is the total for all of the villages of Laiopua?
No, that one is for Village 1, 2, and 4. And 5. But 5, the infrastructure is already in. So it's just vertical construction.
Maybe my question is, what is the 39 million, which village is it being used for?
1, 2, 4, and 5.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's the infrastructure for 1, 2, 4, and 5? And vertical.
And also vertical for 4 and 5.
Okay.
So the infrastructure for Village 4 and 5 are completed. So the part of the lapse fix funds will go towards the vertical construction of that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, the next project.
Chair, I have a question, if I could.
Sure.
On that one,
Yes.
Director Watson, do you have all the water necessary to be able to develop all of these lots?
We are in the process of acquiring, there's a couple of well sites. One we're getting from, I think, Janala, and then we're looking at and working with KS on another well site. So those wells, we do have a purchase agreement on the adjacent well, the one closest to our site, and that one we're moving forward on. The other well sites with,
Just want to make sure that we're listening to the speaker. Thank you.
yeah, the Kamehameha Schools site, we're finalizing and we're moving forward on that one. With the acquisition of these two well sites, we should have more than sufficient water for not only these particular projects, but additional developments. As you can see, there's other villages like Village 7, some others that we'd like to move forward on. We do have lands, additional lands that we're looking at doing some development, like across the main road. We have land surrounding the harbor area that we'd like to develop. So while I believe we do have sufficient water to move forward on these developments, it's an ongoing process. And so we continue to look for additional waters, just like in the Waimea area and Kauai. I mean, that's real key, and it's an ongoing challenge for the department to get sufficient waters. But based on the law, as well as our position with respect to our constitutional mandate regarding the state helping us move the program forward, I think we are in a good position to get the waters we need. But we continue to develop additional water as well as assert our entitlements.
Thank you for that update. And I would just urge you to keep the House informed about water availability and any barriers you encounter with securing sufficient water for your development, whether it's from county departments of water supply or from the Commission on Water Resource Management or whoever. Just if you could keep us informed about that, that would be helpful. And just one last thing, are you using Act 279 money for the purchase of these well sites in related, the ones that are close to Laiopua?
No, we're not.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chair. Back to you.
Thanks, Rep. Tarnas. Please,
Okay, the
go ahead.
next project in Honoka'a, it's great location. There's a lot of amenities and existing development and great views. So we're excited about that one. So that one, it's more in the preliminary phases. So we've dedicated not only the money for the acquisition through Act 279, but some funds for a little over $1 million for pre-development work with a target of generating about 296 single-family homes for that site. So it's a, you know, a very, I don't know if you guys or anybody been over there, but it's a great location for a new homestead community. Next. Palama Nui, this is kind of an interesting one in that that one is, we're working with Non-Inc. So that one is this is a donated one. Yeah, it's located right across the Kona Airport, and it's a major development, mixed-use development by Non-Inc. They approached us with the idea of working with us in not only donating, but using some of our funds, which we would use on our property, to put in the infrastructure. And collectively, we'd have a kind of a wonderful community. There's a whole bunch of things that are involved with a business park, not only the residential, there's open space, a dry forest preserve. There's a university village town center, along with retail, shopping, and commercial amenities. So one of the things that has been really important in creating new communities is a holistic approach, where it's not just like residential and isolated areas with no amenities and no job opportunities as well as services. So this location is not only excellent, but what the developer is doing really is giving us an opportunity to be a part of a master plan community. So we're excited about this one, and the idea of you know, the developer actually donating the lands. So, you know, as I sit here, I kind of making a call out to the developers out in across the state. If you have projects that you have certain entitlements or whatever that we can satisfy by addressing your affordable housing requirements, please do approach the department. We'll take your offers very serious. The next one, this is just the Panieva. You know, we're looking to do quite a bit of residential development in the Panieva, which is an existing homesteading community. There, we're going to have to phase it. If you notice on the future cost expenditures, you know, it's $147 million. Obviously, we'd have to phase that. And so we've kind of broken it up into 4 phases, 150 units per phase. But we've committed about $1 million to do the, you know, some of the backbone and infrastructure work. And we are actively pursuing federal funding, especially with respect to the sewer system. As everybody knows, Hilo it's been a real challenge with existing sewer systems that they have that are kind of antiquated. You know, I visited, and I got to tell you, man, the smell is pretty offensive. And not only that, Puhi Bay, you know, is being at risk because of the inadequacies of that sewer system. So we want to work with the counties, and we're having discussions, and we're trying to collectively work to get funding for that upgraded sewer system, which would benefit not only our residential, but we have some other lands, industrial and other areas that could also benefit.
If there are no other questions, you can move on to the next count, Maui County.
Yeah, Maui, we are very committed to trying to, you know, because of the disaster over there, the governor and this administration have put an emphasis on doing developments on Maui. One of the things that, you know, we've, I guess, experienced is the high cost of development on Maui. Our Leali'i project of about 181 units, I mean, the average cost for infrastructure per lot is about $376,000. I mean, that's really, really steep. That's the most expensive site to develop. And so we've, in response to that, as well as our large waiting list, we've identified other sites, new lands, that we're moving forward. We've worked with Everett Dowling as well as Gentry and some of the other developers to put together projects that we're excited about. As you can see, they're spread out over Maui, all the way from Honokawai to Kihei and Wai'ehu. So let's break it down. The first project. The first one is we've already done some awards, the Pu'uhona Homestead. We went out and we awarded already 52 lots. Those were turnkey. But let me just say that, again, addressing our wait list, the developer is not only getting subsidies, but also working with Habitat. And in the subsequent phases, he's going to make other lots available that are not as costly. It is very costly, not only for development, not as costly on the infrastructure, but housing is a real challenge with the increase in material costs, labor, and all of that that's typically across the state, across the nation, has been impacted. So it's a challenge, and so, again, one of the things in order to address that is to do projects in large numbers so we can get the cost per units down. We're also looking at standardized models. We've retained a consultant to create templates that are not only expandable, but even the specifications, we want kind of standard so we can order in bulk and get the material costs down. We're looking at possibly modular construction or SIPs construction to, again, try and get the costs down. So it's a real challenge. This one is a good project. We've used a variety of sources of income to move this one forward. And I would point out this originally was not DHHL lands, but because of its entitlements, its acquisition, as well as the use of the Act 279, we were able to fill the shortage. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that.
Mine just to turn up purple.
Sorry about that. So anyway, that one is a good example of not only leveraging our funds to get the project started and moving forward and actually under construction and awards have been made, but we also used our affordable housing credits to offset the costs of the acquisition of the land. So that's something, and again, I thank you, the legislators, for extending that accessibility to the use of affordable housing credits for our program. Another project, Wailuku Single Family, we've, again, used the Act 279. This one is already encumbered, 176 single family. We got 31 vacant lots that we may use for maybe some subsistence ag. But this is kind of another good location. It's located right above the Pu'uhona project. And again, it's a wonderful location close to, the hospital, retail stores, schools, and it's a very great location for homesteading. Next one is Wai'ehu Mauka. It's another phase, basically, of our successful Wai'ehu project. So this one is significantly more units. We're looking at close to 311 units. So that one is, it's a little ways off. So we're in the process of doing the pre-development work that needs to be done. But let me just say that, all these different projects, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to have workshops where we work with the beneficiaries to educate them as to the different choices, all the different projects. And we're going to make the awards, but we're also going to conduct workshops where we kind of position them to make informed decisions, not only regarding the project that they might want to avail themselves of, but also on the financing. I've found that it's very challenging. We have the 184A, we have the 247, the direct loans, just a variety of loan products. And it's confusing, but it's also, geared towards the financial circumstances of the applicant. So we're going to actually, I don't know how this is going to go over, but I'm going to make this a requirement that people participate in an educational workshop regarding loans, and so that they can educate themselves. We're also bringing in third-party, service providers, Hawaii Community Lending, and others to have that one-on-one discussion with the potential homesteader as to their choices, but more importantly, what they can qualify for. Historically, the department has always been doing turnkey. You got to pre-qualify, and if you don't, you sit on the side and, frustrated and in some cases die. And so that we can't have. So I not only want to expedite and move quickly towards the award of leases, but I also want to prep and have them, the beneficiaries make informed decisions, whether, if they can qualify for a mortgage, great. If they can't, there's this other option, LIHTC, or low-income housing tax credit with option to purchase. A lot of them will probably fall into that category. So one of the other things we're doing is with the developers, requiring them to participate. And if they don't know how to do it with HHFTC, then go partner up with somebody that does. And so that when they do our developments, they have that category in their arsenal of offerings that the homesteaders can make, or practically default if they can't do and qualify for a turnkey as well as a mortgage. Then here's this other option. We're not going to bypass you. You got to do this 15-year compliance, but we also can give you a homestead lease. So these are, I think, major changes that we're excited about, and it's required statutory changes, which, thankfully, you folks have been very, not only aggressive, but supportive. And we really, and more importantly, I think our beneficiaries really appreciate what you guys are doing. This next one. This is Lāna'i. As you can see, there's a bunch of stuff going on over there besides our phase 2, involving 181 units. And as I mentioned, it's very, very expensive for the infrastructure. The lands above it, it's colored a light gray, is the project that Department of Human Service is doing for the displaced people from the fire. And so that's 450 units, and they're using these transitional modular homes for the individuals. They're also putting in a resource center that we're going to recycle, not only use the resource center, but also we're working with them so that we can recycle these transitional housing or modular units. So one of the things exciting about that is eventually that will be our phase 3 of Lāna'i. So we'll not only have the benefit of a lot of the infrastructure being paid for already, and which is going to be built per county standards, so they will take over the maintenance. But more importantly, all of this will be in, the lots will be graded. We're actually have developed kind of a layover of what a homesteading awards will look like. I believe we're going to do the lots about 6,500, if I'm correct. But we also recycle the transitional units. Maybe we put them together to make bigger units. But more importantly, we'll be able to use, we might have to upgrade and add a little bit to the infrastructure. But basically, it's a real great opportunity for us. Technically, those lands are not ours. They are HHFTC, including the FEMA lands adjacent. But all of those we have, with respect to the Kalaiola project, the 450, we are entering into a agreement with HHFTC and DHS that at the end of the 5-year period, not only do all these improvements get transferred to DHHL, but more importantly, all the assets and improvements also become part of the transfer.
Yes. Rep. Kila?
Thank you. Kali, I have so wait, the DHS property, that's actually DHHL.
No, it's not. It's HHFTC. That's not our property.
But they're gonna be doing the infrastructure improvements
On
that
that.
allows you to tie into,
Well, it ties into our parkway and some other areas, but that's not our property right now. I think I would have a problem if it was our property and you have non-Hawaiians using it. So at this point, it is not our property, but we will enter into a MOA whereby at the end of the 5-year period, which they're going to use it for transitional, they will convey it to us. Now, they've also, and you
you're
know,
gonna convey the property to DHHL?
correct.
You folks will encumber the land?
Well, it'll become our lands.
Okay.
And then Joe Campos has committed to giving priority to people on our wait list, our waiting list for this project. So the first people that will be serviced and given the transitional housing awards will be people that are on our wait list.
Not
That
homestead
qualify.
lots, right?
They're not homesteaders.
They'll be like rental.
And these will be rentals.
Okay.
I believe the rentals for the first year is waived or discount. And then the other thing is, the resource center that they'll also be building will also be accessible to our beneficiaries. And now, if a homesteader or a person on the wait list participate in this Kalai'ola project, that doesn't mean they'll get taken off the wait list.
Right.
So they can either stay there and when we convert, have a homestead, or they can, wait till phase 2 of Le'ali is done, and they can take a lot from that, depending on where they are on the wait list.
Okay. And then, how confident are you to expand the 83 million by the end of the fiscal year?
The 83 million, I believe we'll encumber it, the 83. Right now, we're working with, who's it, Nani, right? Dowling. Yeah, Dowling has already got the award, so we should have that encumbered. There's a few issues regarding the developer agreement, and we've resolved that, so that one is moving forward. Because we want to get going on the improvement of the parkway. There's also a water system that needs to be installed, and there's the main highway portion that also has to be improved regarding the intersection. So, and then we also have to fix the parkway. It doesn't quite align up as it should. So all that work needs to be started. Let me just also say that with respect to this DHS, the Kalai'ola project, we are not allowing, and they've agreed to not use the parkway, which goes through our homestead areas, for the development and construction for the Kalai'ola 450-unit transitional housing project. That was a real big concern of the existing homesteaders. And so they've also, and it's kind of nice, they put some speed bumps on the parkway to reduce the speed. And then once the project is, we will put gates up that will prevent people from using the parkway to get to Kalailoa. Once the Kane Hall Road is finished, and there's 2 other entrances that will be used as a main entryway for the Kalai'ola project. So we won't have a whole bunch of residential or transitional tenants running through and driving through our homesteading area. So anyway, that one is moving forward. What else? Next one is some of the, one of the things that I think the program has come to recognize is that historically, way back when we started the program, it's on Moloka'i, we used to award 40 acres for ag, and it just doesn't work. I mean, if you go to Moloka'i, I think we got 3 or 4 farmers over there, and it's not real active from a commercial standpoint. So rather than awarding these large lots, we've kind of reduced the awards and characterized them as subsistence ag lots, where not only you have the opportunity to build on it, but more importantly, with a house, but more importantly, you can grow your, crops that you can support your family as well as your neighbors. You can have some livestock, but it's more kind of in line with what the whole concept was, getting the Hawaiians back to the land, or the Aina, and to live off the land. And so with these subsistence ag lots, that's what we're doing. And our rules were amended where we allow that up to 3 acres. And so we did one in Paneeva that was well received, and people are excited. And I think it's more consistent with, and more, when you make the smaller, instead of 40 acre, maybe a half acre or an acre, you can make a lot more awards. And we do have significant numbers on our ag waiting list. So by doing these subsistence ag lots, not only do we give them something that they can use, but if they build a house, I mean, we kill 2 birds with 1 stone by giving them a place for their house as residential, but also address their ag needs.
Yes. Martin?
Can you clarify what you said? You said you amended the rules to allow up to 3? Up to 3 what?
Yeah, 3 acres for subsistence ag lots. So it will vary depending on the project. 3 acres, personally, I think is too large, but we can award maybe on the outer islands where you have to maybe put in a catchment system or some kind of sewer thing where you need a larger lot. So the bigger lot might be more appropriate. On Oahu, maybe not. We haven't done any on Oahu, but we're looking at some acquisition. I'm not free to share that at this point, but we're looking for the first time to maybe do some ag awards on Oahu. Okay, on Moloka'i, we got a couple of projects, the whole Ho'olehua scattered lots and the Na'iva ag subdivision. So those are moving forward. Just like I was saying, these larger lots that are vacant, we get them back. We're cutting them up into smaller so we can make more awards. So that's what we're doing on these scattered lots. And the Na'iva, it's some ag lots, so it's very expensive, but it is what it is. And that was one of the projects that our commissioners chose to move forward on under the strategic plan. We were able to get some federal funds to supplement and move forward on this. Originally, we took it off because it's so expensive, but we did have not only some federal funds become available, but we also had other funding separate from Act 279. So we're moving forward on this one. I believe I've already got a developer, good fellow, doing the infrastructure on this one. The next one, this is a Lanai one. This kind of is an interesting project in that on our wait list, it was generated in targeting people from that island. We are trying to be more responsive to making awards and to people that have a tie-in to the community. So that's where we're looking at Hana, King's Landing, some other areas where our wait list will be tweaked so as to give preference and priority to people from the community. Because, if you're from Hana, you don't want somebody coming in from Oahu and, kind of setting up whatever. To me, it's appropriate. And the commissioners are very supportive of not only noting, but supporting beneficiaries from the community. So I think it's a good approach. And Lanai is a good example of us doing that. And so in this one, we're looking to develop the lands that were donated to the program. We also, the county is moving forward on development of the lots adjacent that are colored white. And so we are looking to partner up with that developer so we can maybe share in the cost of the infrastructure and, more importantly, get the per unit count down. I think we have 10 lots that have not been completed under the first phase, so we're going to incorporate that. And again, the idea is get the numbers up, get a developer. And I know the county had gone out previously and there were no takers, so it's a tough island for a developer to make a viable project as well as price it. So it's going to be purchased by the people that they're targeting. So by doing it this way, I think we can get the per unit cost down. And then I believe the developer, the county project, already has some federal funding that I believe will help on the infrastructure. So we're kind of realigning the infrastructure as well as our layout to maybe coincide with the phasing that I think is going to be needed on this project. The developer is looking at doing some kupuna housing over there. So we, as well as the developer, are doing an assessment of the people on our wait list. Are they truly interested in moving forward? I don't, we have about 70-something on our wait list. It's not a lot. And so we got to find out how viable. So if the number is maybe 30 of the 70 want to move forward, then we can combine it with the whatever number the county developer has, and then the project becomes viable. And it becomes even more viable if we collectively can get some of the infrastructure covered by either the counties. We got some county infrastructure money coming in, so we might apply some of that to this project. But we also, I know the developer on the county side has some funding coming in from Senator Schatz. So anyway, Oahu, where we have our biggest demand, we have some projects in place. As you can see, all the way from Wailua, all the way to Hawaii Kai. So again, we're trying to get expansive on our land inventory so we can create new homesteads. Like I said earlier, this is an ongoing process. And we have a couple sites that we're working with commitment schools as well as private developers that look very, very promising that may impact some of our existing projects. So again, it's an evolving process. It's an evolving development list of projects, but not to say we're not going to do all the projects listed. We are, but they may, the sequence may be adjusted. The encumbering of the funds may be adjusted, and that would be reflective of whatever changes we make. So we do have a PIG group of
Permitted Interaction Group.
Permitted Interaction Group scheduled to be set up this month by me, and so we put the two new commissioners, Kalepa and Lucia from Moloka'i, along with Walter Kaneakua, that will review these projects and make decisions for recommendation to the commission. And so as you can see on that one, regarding the matrix, we have a bunch of most of, I guess a big project is a Ka'ulo Kahai project in Kapolei. I mean, now when we're looking at 700, and again, it's we've committed over 140 million to that particular project. But again, it's not enough to do all the development we need to do. And there's some adjacent parcels that also I'd like to develop. At 2A is that one we're looking at doing multi-units and some other stuff, maybe even kupuna housing. So the thing about the East Kapolei, as you can see in our matrix, in order to move forward and complete the 700 units, we're going to need an additional 60 million besides the 140 million that we've committed under Act 279. So again, this is a very good example. We have a developer in place. They're going to be responsible for developing all 700. And we have the site, the layout, and so it's a matter of moving forward on the first. We already started the construction. Hawaiian Dredging is on site. They're doing some of the improvements on the infrastructure. And then hopefully early next year we'll start on the vertical construction. And then with respect to the 60 million, if we get that, then the additional 250 for Unit 2E will be able to move forward. But we will be making the lease awards for 700. So we're excited about that. The Kaupea project, that's just expansion of our existing homesteading area. This is acquisition from HHFDC of their lands. We've been very aggressive in going after some of these master plan communities that were developed by HHFDC. This is a good example where we're able to acquire this particular project for about little over $8 million. And this one would generate about 60 units. And it's right adjacent to Kapolei High School, so it's a good location. And so we're excited about this one. Then this is the East Kapolei one I was telling you about. Yeah, so as you can see, there below there's increment 2A. That one, we're doing our due diligence as well as trying to master plan that one. There's also LDA 3 next to the Parkway that, we might get a little bit more creative in doing maybe mixed use, like the Element right up the street. And again, we got a lot of people on our wait list. So, people say you just do single family resident. I think we got to get a little bit more creative, and that's where the townhouses, Waipoli on Kauai is one we're looking at, 82 excellent townhouses, and using our NAHAZA funds and leveraging it. We got the Bola-Drome, that's 286. So that we're looking at, hopefully, it's a rental project, but we're exploring the idea of maybe converting it and treating it as condominiums where people get awarded a condo, and it's a homestead that they can pass on. As a renter, once they die or stop renting, they got nothing to pass on. And I'm not very supportive of the idea that the developer, with all these government subsidies, takes the equity. So like we did in the whole Lima Lima project in Kapolei, all of that equity was passed on to the homesteader. So the net result is you got all this equity that is transferred at no cost to the homesteader, and then more importantly, the net result is the cost for the conversion and ownership is significantly lower. So the loan that they now have to take out to cover the remaining balance, which covers the taxes and transfer fees, as well as the net of whatever debt is outstanding for the gap financing, is covered by that takeout loan that the homesteader takes on, but it's significantly lower. And so we're trying to use that approach to address the people on the wait list that are very low income, that would probably not ever be looking at home ownership. So I know I've been criticized for that, but I think it really is a lack of understanding of the financing approach. And once people understand it and the targeted group, I think they will be supportive. Our commissioner, at least the commission, at least the majority are supportive, and that's why we're moving forward on some of these projects.
Kali, just as a follow-up to that point, do you have any data from your list of families on the wait list that, with their incomes, that can justify, looking at alternatives to single-family lots?
Yeah, we did a survey in 1920, and then we've also, SMS has done a analysis of our wait list. That's an ongoing process because, our wait list is constantly changing. A lot of people dying off and, getting, hopefully, awards. I do know that in the analysis of our wait list, I believe, at least 60% not only are kupuna, but their income is very, very low. And so, that's something that, I've been criticized regarding this kupuna housing we're doing. But when I look at our wait list, we got a lot of kupuna on our wait list. And they don't want a 3-4 bedroom house unless they're going to do it with their kids, which is fine. But they don't want this large mortgage. And also it's a challenge for them to qualify for a mortgage because of their income. And so, again, the product mix that we're trying to generate, I believe, warrants the creation of kupuna housing. That's why we're working with Lunulilo Homes, one of the Li'i trusts, as well as other developers that specialize in light tech. We're also looking at working with developers that there's other funding approaches other than light tech with bonds and HUD loan programs. So we're trying to get creative, but we're trying to, at the end of the day, create a product that can address the needs of our kupuna. And so by doing that, not only can we get maybe some of the kupuna out of their residential units and free it up for maybe their kids, but more importantly, we can get people off the wait list and put them in, and not that they are taken off the wait list if they go into a kupuna program, they're still on the wait list. So if they do decide later that they want to convert and say they're in a kupuna housing program, and then they later think, well, here's this house, maybe with my kids, we can team up and go get a homestead, they're free to do that. But they also, that's a choice. They can either choose to go into a kupuna housing based on their current needs, or they can avail themselves of their benefit of where they are on the wait list. But again, it's choices, and we need to give them more choices, and that's why we're aggressively pursuing. We have a couple of projects, one in Waianae, one on Moloka'i, that we're looking at doing kupuna housing, and so those are going forward. We have some other sites. We looked at one on Kauai, and it's if you do the financing right, you can put up a lot of stuff. Okay, let's see. The mill camp, that's, again, a new homesteading community that we're looking at acquiring. The price is right. That one, the issue is the sewer, but I think we're going to address that with a standalone sewer plant. This is a nice one and a good location. Hopefully the people out there won't get too much in arms. We were going to do multi-unit townhouses, but I've been advised, and I think it's a good suggestion, that we go with single family. So we'll probably end up doing about 18 single family residential, straight up. And let's see. So that's a nice location, and it's right on the marina. So we got a good price on it. So we're going to meet with the community, explain what we got. Hopefully Gene Ward, who's listening, will kind of wave the flag and be supportive.
Today.
Kauai. Kauai is, again, we got a couple of projects. We got the Hana Pepe. We also have the Anohola. I'll say it now, and that, is, we might need to, and I'm going to make a recommendation that, the Anohola subsistence ag lots, that's part of our strategic plan, but we're pivoting, and one of the things about those subsistence ag lot is there's no potable water. So it's very, to me, unlikely. They can do a catchment system, but it's less likely that they would put a residential home there. So we do have lands in Wailua that I think would, and closer to existing infrastructure, where we have master plan for residential. But I think on that one, we're going to consider changing that to subsistence ag lots, because the county is looking to do and relocate their existing sewer plant. So we, I think, can collectively benefit by relocating it on our lands, and then use the effluent or the discharge from the sewer coming in from the existing residents, private, to create R1 water that we can irrigate our ag lots. But more importantly, adjacent, there's also potable water. So if we do more of the subsistence ag lots, I think that would keep that green belt along that Kauai coast. But in addition to that, we're acquiring wonderful lands in Lehui. I believe we got about, we're going to develop about 1,200 units 1,000 would be residential, 200 would be subsistence ag lots. But it's a great location, close to the Wilcox Hospital, schools, the airport, the municipal buildings and stuff. So it's a better location. And then not to say we're not going to do development in Anahola, but I think the relocation to an area where there is potable water. So that's something we're going to be considering. And then the Hanapepe, that one is moving forward. It's the second phase of 82 lots. So that one we have a developer as well as infrastructure already being built. So that's moving along. And then, this is a subsistence. That's the one I'm going to kind of revisit. I'll probably get some pushback from the beneficiaries. But I think if we swap that out for a site where not only would they get subsistence ag lots, but it'd be a better location closer to the roads and all that other stuff. So, and this is a Lehui one I was telling you about. We're budgeting about the first phase for 240 lots. So that one is, about 71 million to do 240 units of the 1,200 that's master planned for. So if that one is made available, we use that funding to move that forward. But we've committed the Act 279 for the acquisition of those lands, which works out to, I think, 60 or 70,000 per acre, because that one also we're adding some affordable housing credits to the deal. And so Gross Farm can use the affordable housing credits to maybe better entitle some of the lands that they're selling. But we got a great deal, and I have to compliment Don Horner in working with us in facilitating this acquisition. Let's see, what else? And so anyway, that's, what is this? Anyway, there's some scattered lots we're doing. One of the things that has been a plague in the existing homesteads are these scattered lots that have laid vacant or an eyesore. And so we're aggressively moving forward. We've collectively done an inventory of the different homesteading communities, and we've identified those that are in our inventory that we own and are not awarded out. So we're trying to move forward on those. We're also looking at abandoned homes that have just been sitting. And so rather than using the hammer and threatening cancellation, we're going to aggressively pursue investigations. What's the problem? You don't know how to build or replacement home or whatever. Let us help you. And here's some of the models. Here's the financing, whatever. And work with the homesteaders. I don't like where we're going when we threaten cancellation. It's really what the program is about, is to provide services that allows them to, I hate to use the word rehabilitate, but more importantly, get a house. And so if we can do that, it's a hell of a lot better than canceling a lease, and unless it's warranted. So we'll do that too. So don't get me wrong, if they're dealing drugs or whatever, we're going to cancel their lease. Anyway, that's kind of, I know I talk too much, but that's kind of a, I don't know if it's a summary, but a detailed presentation of what we're doing in the world of DHHL.
Questions for Director Watson? Yes, Rep. Eflin.
For the Wailua parcel, how many subsistence lots are you guys looking at doing over there?
Wailua, we're looking at 108. There's 3 phases. We're actually considering maybe acquiring the whole thing, but it's a what do you call it? A plantation housing that was transitioned and purchased. So the 108 is clean, so we can do the 108. So on second thought, yeah, we'd probably just do the 108.
That's Wailua Kauai?
No, that's on Milk.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Wailua.
Oh no, yeah. The you mentioned
on Kauai.
Yeah, on Kauai.
That one is, You know, it's actually a pretty large area.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, we had subsistence ag lot, but we had residential in the lower end. So what I'm thinking is converting the residential to ag, subsistence ag. And so this is something I'm going to recommend to the PI or Permitted Interaction Group. And personally, I think it's a lot better because if you can't build your house on your subsistence ag lot, you know, what is the real benefit? I mean, you get a big lot, you can put a big house and get your whole family over there and grow stuff, versus a big lot that there's no water to drinking water. That's tough.
Yeah.
You don't want to be hauling water, and then the catchment is sketchy. Although Anahola gets a lot of rain, so. But I think if we can do it where we provide potable water as part of the infrastructure that's available, that'd be a lot better for our beneficiaries.
And I assume you folks are still in continued talks with the county for moving the wastewater treatment plant. I know that there was a time issue on their side and that they're looking at having to improve the existing one or make the commitment to moving it more Mauka.
We're committed.
Yeah.
We're committed. Again, it's a matter of financing, and I think with this pivot of the effluent, it makes it a more viable project. Because if the the capacity kind of gets reduced in a sense that there's existing housing right adjacent that needs to be serviced,
Yep.
which is being serviced by the existing plant, and so that replacement facility has to do that. And then, there's always that issue about the environmental and the disposal of the effluent. And so I think if we can recycle it for our subsistence ag lot, that makes a whole lot of sense. It also makes it less costly. And then it also reduces the size because we're not going to do, actually, I take that back. If we're going to put subsistence with residential, we'll figure it out. I mean, we're working with them. We've had meetings with them, and they're very supportive. And you're right, they're under a timeline, so we're trying to help them, but the financing is a challenge, so we want to work with them.
Great. Well, I just want to say I do think subsistence lots on that Wailua parcel and moving the residential lots to Isenberg is a really good idea. So I appreciate you folks moving that direction.
Yeah, we're also developing commercial lands we have right across the street by the hotel. So there's an existing hotel, there's a lot adjacent that we put in and out for development. We might do another hotel, we might do, a cultural center, just a variety of things. But one of the other things we're doing is a lot of our lands that are just seen vacant and unused that are in key locations. We've identified 9 of them. Like we're looking to do a raceway park in Kalailoa. We're looking at doing a big industrial park in Kalailoa. And we got some commercial centers as well as other things that we're trying to move forward. So I've dedicated some staff to moving that forward. And so that's exciting because one of the things I want to do is not just build vertical housing and that's it. We need jobs, we need business opportunities. And so I think that's where if we make our lands active, that'd be great. We're negotiating, rents with some of our existing commercial tenants. And that's key to our having existing funding to pay for bonds that we issue and then use the proceeds to put in infrastructure. Because as you can see, infrastructure is extremely expensive, so we need to generate different sources. And historically, that has been a source where OHA is, they provide about $3 million a year for some of the infrastructure that was used for housing. And then we use some of the money from our Hilo commercial developments to fund bonds that we use to put in infrastructure for housing on the Big Island. So that's kind of an approach that we want to replicate in a lot more things.
One more question. So I know your folks' efforts at utilizing LIHTC for the purchase of Waipoli have had some setbacks, and if it's ultimately not successful, or you're not able to get LIHTC, do you intend to use any Act 279 funds or?
No.
Okay.
We We're going to deal with that.
Okay.
We've got a way to handle that. There's different ways to get across the room. You can crawl, you can skip, you can walk. So as a developer, you need to know a whole bunch of different financing approaches, which there are. So light tech is one approach. There's others. So we'll get it done. I know the tenants over there, and let me just say to the tenants, existing tenants over there, we will treat them fairly. If we are successful in moving forward, we will cover their relocation costs. With respect to the rents, it's, you know, the delta or the difference between what they're paying now versus market. So whatever that is, we'll cover for, I think, 42 months. So there's a law we got to follow. So, but we're not going to, and we'll do it in a way that accommodates their needs. So if we move forward.
And I don't think this is an Act 279 project.
No, it's not.
So we can, why don't we just move forward? Rep. Martin?
I just wanted to understand some of the resources that you're bringing in to augment these, the Act 279 funds. When I just added up your totals from this chart, it's a little different than the totals that you had at the top. It's another 74 million. So is that showing matching from other sources for those projects? It is? And is that the totality of those matches, or is there more? I would be so interested to know for these projects what other resources are being leveraged and brought in. I think that's a really great story to tell.
So there are other resources. Some of it comes through the counties. So we've had not only conversations, but agreements with them that supports leveraging those additional funds.
And so would that 74, if my math is right, would that 74 million be the totality, or is there more?
There's a little more than that.
Okay. Would it be possible to share that information with the chair,
Sure.
just so we can know? I have one more question.
Go right ahead.
You mentioned the Kaleo Hillside possible project in
Right.
Kailua. It's not my district, it's next door, but I grew up on that hillside, and I can concur with the residents that it is shifting, but I can also say it's a really great place to live. And despite the shifting, people still live there and enjoy living there. So I just wondered, what is your perspective on that project?
Yeah, we are pending action by the commission before we can do our investigation regarding the site conditions. But yeah, we're well aware of the adobe soil, but that can be addressed by appropriate drainage, as well as you can do your posts all the way to the bedrock, so there's a stable foundation. We're very aware of the neighbors, so whatever, assuming we proceed, we'll address that to minimize or maybe even avoid any kind of adverse impact to the neighbors. We are aware of the issue of traffic in the entrance or the access to and from the site. So we would have to address that with some kind of study regarding traffic flow. We're also aware of the neighborhood, the sizing of the units. So whatever, we will approach it where we fit into the neighborhood. We're not, kind of putting this huge multi-units and uncharacteristic for the neighborhood. So we want to fit in, we want to be welcome, but more importantly, we want to address the people on our wait list. But in a way that the houses, I'm not going to put up houses that are going to be shifting and, cracked driveways and all that. We're not going to do that. I mean, that's asking for a lawsuit. So we're definitely going to do it right, but we're also very sensitive to the neighbors. We cannot adversely impact them either. That's another lawsuit. So having been a litigation construction attorney for, quite a while, when I was with the Attorney General's office, I know all about litigation, and so I'm not going to do that, so.
Okay. Rep. Tarnas, do you have some questions?
Just one quick question, and this is a focus on Act 279. I understand that, but as we look forward to next session, if you could let us know when you have figured out what you're going to ask for additional appropriations, that would be useful. When you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Tarnas. Rep. Holt?
Not much of a question, but I always just wanted to thank you guys and all the staff at the department. I appreciate the efforts that you guys always put forth. Difficult discussions all the time, coming up with different mix of products, like you said. I think that's very important for our aging kupuna, making sure that they have someplace to go. Not everybody can afford the construction and, the big home, like you said. So I look forward to working with you folks with whatever policy changes you may need going forward. And I just always appreciate you guys being creative to make sure we can get our families into housing.
Sure.
Yes. So, any other questions, members? I too want to thank you very much. I think this has been a very productive discussion, and I think Rep. Tarnas summed it up, that we basically would like to get a better understanding of what your needs will be in the upcoming session, and not just on the financing side, but along with any policy changes that's going to help you implement your agenda.
Sure.
What would be helpful are three things. One is getting a sense of what your priorities are by county, being able to, so we can understand your sense of, what's the low-hanging fruit and what that cost is going to be associated with that project. The sense of timing. So if these funds are appropriated, then when would those leases be? That I do not have a sense of with the matrix that we received. And then I think what Rep. Martin mentioned, which is what are the sources of leveraging that happened currently and potential, so that we can make the case that we are doing more with our state funds, with your aggressive measures to approach the county, to work with private developers, to work with the federal government. And I think that's a really strong message. If we can help convey that, I think it'll help make our case stronger.
Okay. Sure. Appreciate it.
But we really appreciate this level of briefing, your clear knowledge of the projects and the challenges relating to each one of these, because we know development takes time and it's a long process. So we also appreciate you looking at these standard templates, modular housing, ways to figure out how to do it more efficiently. Your land acquisition strategies are using smart growth as a guide so people can live, work, and play in the communities and can live in a walkable, bikeable community. These are all good for our residents, good for Native Hawaiians, good for our environment, if we can think along those lines. Really want to, and the last thing is putting some of the funds so that our Native Hawaiian residents on the wait list are mortgage ready and renter ready when the time comes.
Right.
So doing that prevention piece up front is so critical, and I think that continue to put the resources in that box so that when your lots are ready, the wait lister is ready to move.
Yeah, I would plant a seed regarding future funding. Some of the things you're talking about, obviously, you saw our future cost estimates, but there are other costs associated with this development process, as well as improving the operations at the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. I mean, we are using trust funds, which hopefully can be replaced to implement, for example, Salesforce. We're updating and expanding, as well as working with the developers and lenders to have a digital communication tool that is very, very effective. DCCA has kind of taken it to a different level over the last 5 years and has really maximized operational efficiency of that department. Similarly, we need to do that, especially when you look at we have district offices as well as a need for services on the outer islands. And so for right now, you know, there's really a lack of communication. And so by implementing the Salesforce program, which is not cheap, so that's where, you know, if you guys can kind of help us on financing some of these things that we're doing, we need a lot more staff. You know, and I got to be real about it. We don't have enough workers, and we're operating at, you know, a lack of funding. And we've come in last year and the year before for funding for some additional workers, and so we need help. And so I'd ask that you guys consider that and trying to help us move the program along.
Yes, Rep. Martin?
Sorry. When you have these, the budgets for these projects, is DHHL staff work time incorporated in those numbers at all, or should it be?
I'm sorry?
Like the staff you need to help you manage and get these projects going, is that part of the budget?
Well, we're kind of got creative in bringing on people. The emergency proclamation was helpful. So we brought on people, but we kind of filled pukas and in some cases revised the position description. But you know, and we need to expand our org chart and make it more efficient. Land enforcement is another area we're trying to expand to provide staff on the outer islands. But with respect to development, you know, Kalani has been very, and I'm very thankful for him, as well as the staff in the back, for joining the department. But they've been outstanding in their knowledge of development, especially Rekana and Shireen Tam. I mean, I've been very excited about their expertise and ability and knowledge about developing at a different level. So these guys have been great, and Kalani has been really great in reorganizing and bringing on people. And so, but it's I don't know if I even answered your question, but.
All right, okay, thank you. If there are no other questions, again, thank you for being here. Thank you, members, for your time during this interim. We will have a follow-up meeting for the end of the year before session starts.
I look forward to that.
Thank you so much. I'm going
Thank
to
you.
adjourn this meeting.